the one responsible for.
Oh. Sounds wrong.
All right.
Oh, look at that. Don't you guys do?
All right, so. Let's call order.
Oh.
Thank you, Al. Paul, but be safe wherever you are. First thing on the agenda is approving the minutes of May 29th. We have a motion.
So moving. Separate.
Can we unmute Paul?
I have no issues with it.
Okay, great. All right, all in favor of approving those minutes?
Aye.
All?
Aye.
All right, public comment section. So now we don't have many people. I have asked someone if they would put just a quick note on Facebook saying that, you know, it was delayed, but it's open now if anyone wants to join, so we may get another couple of people. But.
I saw it on Facebook earlier today.
Oh, did you?
It was posted earlier.
Okay, great. We do have comments from George Christopher. We'll get to that quickly. Just to open this, just want to say, you know, we have gotten public input before. We got a lot of public input and we responded to a lot. We had legal input as well. One of the public inputs we had, and I'll make sure this is reflected in minutes in case anyone's not getting in, was to make sure that in no way did the ordinance negatively impact agriculture in town. We're very clear on that. And legal has given us the language that's in the ordinance now with the assurance that that would not impact them at all. But did want to point out kind of the structure of it. This is the first time we've gone to the 3 separate documents, and that, I mean, you guys know now, speaking so that we'll have all this for the minutes, is that ordinances, official ordinances can only be changed or rescinded or adopted by vote of the town through town meetings. There's no way to change it. So our goal with the ordinance was to make it a document that more said what we want to do as opposed to saying how we want to do it. Because we removed the hows from the ordinance, we put that, and that can only be changed through a town meeting vote or being on the ballot by a vote of the people. In order to do the hows, we developed a rules document. Rules, they can be changed without town meeting, but they have to be changed by the select board by a vote and with public hearings at least 30 days before any changes to take effect. So while they're easier to change, there still is public input and you know, public feedback, as well as, you know, obviously our elected representatives to do that. And then the last piece in this are just the lists. Those are things that, I mean, we already have lists out there. We were just hoping to, you know, add to them, clarify stuff that, you know, before people had not gotten, you know, that was miscommunication. So that's really communication, and changing in the list is really something that needs the expertise of public works director, but does not necessarily need to go before select board as we looking at, you know, things that need to be, you know, are you gonna separate corrugated cardboard or not? You know, are we all of a sudden getting something, a better market price on, you know, recyclable plastics #1 or #2 or whatever it is? And if so, then, you know, that can change in the list document fairly easily, and allow us to be as flexible as possible there. And then of course the legal stuff, you know, much of the legal input that we had was to capture state definitions, and to rule stuff, and that was a lot of what the town attorney's input was it was clear where we were going with our old language, but the state had specific language and it was best to use that. So that's the majority of the legal changes that were there. So that's just the introduction on that. I did want to say we've got some input from George Christopher. A couple of tweaks, and we could certainly take a look at those tweaks, on the surface. First thing he wanted was on section 4, line 3, where it's talking about agricultural waste. He wanted us, and the agricultural waste, I think the issue on the agricultural waste, and that's the definition, adding the words containers. I want to add the word containers after acceptable waste parasites. Waste parasites. We'll have to take a look at it. The problem is this agricultural waste definition came directly from legal. So although I appreciate what he is trying to state in that, we may not have the leeway because it is the state language. So we may need to leave that, the definition of agricultural waste as it is. It's in, you've got a copy of this email. Machine. Not in that package. There was one sitting out in front of you, but here's my copy of it. Sure. Anyway, Paul Dennis, just for you, he suggests adding the word containers after acceptable waste parasite. Pesticides, thank you. Anti-pesticide container. Anti-pesticide. Yeah, again, as much as I appreciate what George is saying, because that is the state definition, we may need to see where it is. George's second suggestion, which is 6.5, is one that I think we need to have a little bit of input on. And that is, we are moving forward with the transfer station licensing. And based on the information that we found from local towns for our next project, which is, maybe replacing trash hauler and finding out what other towns do. The vast majority of nearby towns all have transfer stations. What Brian is telling us is that it's a longer process, and in fact, we may not be licensed for a transfer station by the time, if we're looking for a January 1 effective date. So George suggests some language for that shall to may. That said, I'm wondering if we should put language in there saying that the town shall pursue a transfer station, and the transfer station language will apply as soon as we're approved. So it doesn't just say, they may do a transfer station, allowing them to just, if they don't ever adopt it, just say, hey, we don't want to go forward with it anymore. But if we say that the select board shall pursue obtaining a transfer station license, and once that license is obtained, language dealing with transfer stations will become effective immediately.
What would happen if we just left it the way it was? The transfer station shall have a transfer station, and we don't have the authorization from the state yet. I mean, is there any?
It's conflict.
I mean, do we just wait?
Well, I'd rather not get us in a place where our ordinance is actually in conflict with what we're able to deliver. So we could, picking up on what George is saying here, which I think is a great thought, is to say the town shall pursue actively pursue a transfer station license. All provisions dealing with transfer stations shall become effective immediately upon acceptance or approval of the license application. Does that make sense?
It does.
Paul, Dennis, see, I'm mute still.
That makes sense. I'm probably going to leave myself mostly muted just due to the excess road noise here. I'm still driving, so.
That's fine. We can reach out to you when, you know, we want to get your input on it, so it's fine.
All right, thank you.
So, good. Yes, please be safe. So those are the two pieces from George. Christopher, one piece of the public thoughts. Want to open it up if there are any other public thoughts?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for fixing the connection, Zoom connection. This is iPad Martha, the ghost attendee for you guys. And first of all, I want to say thank you for all this hard work that you guys have been putting into this. It's been a long haul, and I, for one, really appreciate it. I have mostly a question or concern around the commercial hauler piece of this ordinance. It says waste to be picked up shall be covered in plastic trash containers to keep animals out and reduce moisture contents. And I understand
Tell
that
us where you are, please. Okay, thank you.
provisions 7.4
Okay.
or 7.3. When I travel around town and I see people who have probably hired a commercial hauler, and Brian, you probably have more of an understanding of this than I do. I see like 4 or 5 trash bags out. I think this is different than, say, of course, the those lovely Riverside red container things. I think people hire a commercial hauler on a monthly basis or something, or have you know, one time a month pickup. My concern is that, first of all, why should that be different than the requirements that we have if we decide, if we have and buy, purchase trash tags and can put our trash in a regular plastic bag to be put out. The other concern I have around this is that there's, like, when you see this, 4 or 5 bags out there that these commercial haulers are picking up. And commercial haulers aren't necessarily going to be judicious about how they leave a trash barrel or a plastic container with a lid on it. To, you know, we see when I used to put one up at the road with my trash in it, the lid went all over the place, all over the road. And then again, if somebody is paying for that commercial hauler service, they've got to buy 5 cans or 5 receptacles to put that in. I just think that's I think that's a concern. And I just wanted to bring that up to you guys to readdress and think about that again. And maybe I'm missing something. So that's just my concern around that. The other thing, this is not really in the ordinance, but while I have your attention, I think it's laudable that you're considering a concern for people to have a discount or to provide folks in town that don't have as an income level, you know, easier access to have trash tickets. That's really not what your ordinance, your solid waste committee has been charged with. And while it's laudable, your energy, from my perspective, doesn't really need to go there. I think it's a nice thing that you are considering it, and something may come of it. But I think there's other places and ways that can be accomplished.
That is currently not in the ordinance, and I know we're
yes, I
discussing.
know. So
Yeah,
that I
it's
just
kinda not
wanted to
ordinance.
make that comment, and that's all I had to offer was particularly on that concern and perspective. And so Thanks again, and I'll sign off.
Okay. The commercial hauler waste container requirement is one that I know we've had this here for quite a while, and we picked that up, and that's just basically, I think Riverside's already covered. I don't know if any of the other haulers in town, but I think to Martha's point is, if you've got a commercial hauler, can they just pick up bags? As opposed to, so can somebody leave a bag out for their commercial hauler as opposed to the municipal
Well,
hauler?
people do it, they have a dumpster, sometimes the dumpster is crammed full and they have bags sitting next to it. So I guess the question is, does plastic container preclude bags or does it include
Yeah,
bags?
I mean, plastic trash container, plastic bag is plastic trash container.
And I think I know what she's saying. I mean,
Yeah.
we have trash tags, you could throw a bag out on the, that we're adding. This adds something extra to the commercial haulers.
Right,
Does that-
But does it really, if we're saying plastic trash containers to keep animals out and reduce moisture content? I mean, a plastic bag is a
Well,
plastic trash container.
a covered metal or plastic trash container, which I don't think of a bag as a covered container
Well, the covered metal is the dumpsters and then the
or
other,
trash can.
yeah, or trash can, absolutely. But if our interpretation of the plastic container is plastic bags, or we can clarify, we can write a little clarification in there that just says plastic containers, including plastic trash bags.
Yeah, the only thing is if somebody's on a monthly pickup schedule, I'd rather see their bags going into the dumpster than just piling up bags.
We do within the rules document, talk about anybody that is, that their trash is, taken apart by animals or something.
They're responsible.
It does talk that they're responsible for cleaning up. I know it's something
I think it hasn't really been an issue.
yeah, that's talking about the collection schedule on municipal hauler. We can change that in the rules a little, or we can just say plastic trash bags. Or we can just say the interpretation is plastic trash containers, plastic trash bag.
Riverside isn't gonna pick up, I mean, there's an empty dumpster, I don't know if the guy's gonna get out and pick up the bags. I have no idea.
Yeah, we haven't run into the problem. I think the real question is equity of. If you're using the municipal hauler, you just have your black trash bags currently. If you're using a commercial hauler. It's just, so we interpret that language that a plastic. Trash container, and we can even just put, we can put, for example,
Or bag.
we can do including plastic trash bags.
Yeah, why not? I said, or like we said earlier, just as long as elsewhere in the document. If animals get into your trash bag and put them out the night before, then you're responsible to clean that.
We do have it, we may need a little clarification in the rules document, because where we talk about it in the rules document. It speaks to municipal rounds. And we can just, we can expand that to saying includes any left out for commercial hauler.
Just take out the municipal.
Trash that out to use from any trash bag.
Trash set out that gets scattered, it's your responsibility.
Yeah. Do you guys mind if we just beef up that section, that just add our clarification word in the rules document a little bit to make sure that it's clear that picking up after things have been strewn around includes anything left for commercial haulers. You should have a copy of the rules in documents, yeah. That is under collection schedule is where that is set, so it would just be a little tweak in there. Shall we clean up, this includes any trash receipt. Trash from receptacles looked at for commercial haulers. And that would be the end of it.
We just take out that sentence, trash must be set out prior to municipal haul events.
Well, I think we've got that right now, because right now the trash is Thursday morning,
Right,
and we don't want people leaving it out Tuesday afternoon. It's
well,
very clearly,
says trash will be collected on Thursday morning, trash must be set out prior to the municipal haul around. It doesn't say how long prior, so someone could be done on Sunday, Monday, Friday.
good catch.
And there are people that do.
Well, I mean, if I'm
I
going
mean-
away for a week or something, right?
Yeah,
It's kind of, if you don't put your trash out before the hauler gets there, it won't get controlled.
That's
right,
right.
you take that sentence out in rules. It's kind of self-evident, the trash must be set out prior.
I mean, that's common sense.
And then it just says any trash bag is disturbed by animals or other forces prior to collection should be cleaned up by the resident businesses trash.
Yeah.
Disturbed, and then we'll just put a little including trash set out for commercial haulers.
Yep.
Cool. We don't have too many people on. Paul Dennis, any thoughts on what we talked about? If it's safe for you?
No, I think Martha brought up a good point. I could definitely see how a trash collector might not be very careful with the with bins. So I think it's a valid point in making an adjustment kind of in the direction of what you guys are saying is appropriate.
Terrific. Any other public comment? Nothing? Nothing? All right. All right, we're closing the public input. We do have some time then that we can talk about the town comparisons. Paul Dennis, I sent a note out this afternoon. I know you probably didn't have a chance. Unfortunately, I was out of town. I was only able to get it. You got 2 more towns input. Finally touched base with Lisbon, and we've got the information on Poxel in there. Chelmsford was always a stretch for us anyway, because their population's almost 22,000, and so that was more nice to have. We're curious as opposed to anything that really might have, be germane to what we're doing. Just comparing ourselves to a municipality that's that much larger is probably not what we need to do. I'd ask you guys if you could really quickly take a look to see if I captured from your documents, and I have all your source documents here. I know the Paul's, you gave it to me electronically, so of course we've got it, and then Pat, I have your handwritten, and Brian, I've got your handwritten one on Richmond. But a quick check to see, did I capture on those ones that you talked to? Was there something that maybe, because I did edit a little bit just for space. Was there anything? And this document hasn't been published yet. We will publish it out as long as you guys are all set and say that, yeah, I captured your conversations fairly decently, well enough.
I have a question about Lisbon's.
Yeah, I just talked to them yesterday.
So under recycling, it says, yes, bring to Grimmel's.
Yeah, he was talking about using Grimmel.
I thought they were just scrapping out.
And construction debris, yeah.
Yeah,
They're not
was
recycling.
that was what they, well, okay.
Yeah, so
That was, he did say Grimmel's for just
Yeah, I've seen Lisbon's trucks and trailers over there before, and they're hauling in bulky waste. And metals.
Okay, I'll make that edit. Thank you, yeah. Um. All right, I'll make that edit on Lisbon. Thank you for that clarification. Talk to Marcel there.
Yep, Marcel.
I know, seemed like a really nice guy
Yes.
and was very surprised at his plumber's retirement. So
Yeah, he may not know that yet.
he does now.
A lot of, yeah,
He does now.
is Griddles in Thompson?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were, the old Pajutka mill, was paper mill down over the hill.
Yeah.
That's where they are.
Okay.
Um,
Who's the scrap metal place in Freesville?
I don't know the name, but out on Allen Range Road.
Yeah,
There's two of them.
Yeah.
On the elevator,
okay.
Paul Dennis, really quick, I don't know, did you get a chance to look at, because I had sent, your towns were covered several days ago in that document. I don't know if you had a chance to take a look and see whether or not I captured what you were saying well enough. Paul?
Oh, geez, there we go. No, I think he captured it pretty well. I did have some extra costs in there that wasn't really part of the questionnaire, but I kind of grabbed it anyway, just as we were talking to him. But regarding the information we were trying to grab, I think he did a nice job synthesizing that.
Thanks. I can add the cost info because you did send it. I can add it in the comments as well.
Yeah, one thing on that I will say, and this is a compliment to Brian, I think. If you look at the towns that I called and you look at their budgets compared to what Brian has for a budget, Brian is doing a stupendous job. I think every one of them was between $300,000 and $400,000 of total cost, whereas Brian is right around 125 for our solid waste department. So I did want to just throw that out there, note to say just how efficient of a program we have.
Yeah, well, Brian's budget's a little more than that, but it's offset by, of course, all the trash tags.
Right,
So
that's why I was looking at that. Yeah,
it may not be apples to apples, but I agree with what you're saying. Every other one that we talked to and got any kind of budgeting figures, although there may be some reasons behind it, population size, offsets, stuff, Bodenham compared up basically well in the economic efficiency, considering the level of service that we have. Pat, capture your stuff, okay?
It did. I thought I read something through one of the emails, but it's changed since then, so I'm good.
Oh, okay.
It was, I think it was under Freeport. Many hire private haulers, but it's good. It's fine job.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I got Freeport right now, can hire private. It's yours, EcoMaine, blah, blah. 90 cents a bag. I grabbed that. EcoMaine silver bullets. Paul Tabor, thoughts on your towns?
No, I think you got it.
Okay. And we've already made the call on my town to confirm Grimmel is for that stuff. So that brings us to the general observations. And then a question I have for you guys. And that is, info from 28 towns, population of under 10,000 that are nearby towns. Not all towns have answered all questions. I know, Pat, there was one of your towns that didn't give you an awful lot, but
Hartsville.
yeah, they didn't give you a lot, but we get what we get kind of stuff. We got enough from them. And then just because I added in the population figures, if we're going to publish it so people could take a look, I did add in the Bodenham population, and I got that off of the internet, when I did those lists initially, 2020 census figures or something. So, just for comparison. the trash models. Well, I gotta put, that's 57.1%.
Oh, 0.1.
Point one, Brian, I'll make, there's a typo here and there, I'll make those typos and get that to you. So that you can publish this without the typos. But the majority of them do use transfer stations, so I think that's a really important point for us to talk about. With the select board is to let them know, I mean, Bodenham's a little behind the times. If we're not having that license,
Well, they,
yeah,
like I said, they've already given us the authorization.
Yeah, they have.
to proceed.
I
It's up to the
just,
state now.
yeah, I wanna make sure that they understand that without that license, it may inhibit what we do next, kind of thing. And then 5 towns each are, 5 towns do curbside, but some of the ones that do curbside, and I know Paul talked about this last time, like Pownell, they're not happy with Casella, and Casella is changing their model. Which may be something that we want to explore, because as we talked before, having options to put in front, here's Casella's model, new model, and here's what it would cost, here's what it would take for everyone to get their own bin, here's what that is, by the way, that's the minority of towns that do curbside. And we can make that choice, if the voters want to spend that money, they can make that choice. But a better choice might be to, do the transfer station. And then 2 towns have no model. And one of the town managers I talked to in one of the smaller towns was not even aware that there was a state statute, so he's gonna look into it now, that there is a state statute. So, and it was one of the smaller towns, they were not aware that it was out there. And we talked about it and said, you gotta do something, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a lot, you just have to do something. So, talked about that. Funding, interesting, I think Bodenham is on the good side of this one, and that is that, not as many do a fully fund as you pay as you throw, on the pay as you throw. Some of them, it only covered a little bit, some of them covered a lot more than half of the cost was the pay as you throw and I didn't capture, because we weren't consistent, because we didn't ask it, how much is covered through general taxes versus pay as you throw. Remaining who use partially funded, and then I was actually surprised that how many towns, the vast majority of towns, or the majority of towns from this, because the other 2 are, fund their trash through general and property taxes. That's not counting, in there are towns that have, here's our annual sticker. There was one town, Lisbon, who charges $60 a year for their sticker. Their population is not happy with it, but they have they don't pay anything. Most of the others charge $5-10. It's not a big charge on the annual sticker, and those annual stickers allow them to go in the transfer station for both trash and recycling, so it's not just a trash funding offset. $60, yeah.
I've been over there on the weekend and seen those guys are busy over there.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I don't know if you know where their facility is located. It's in the industrial complex, like across the street from McDonald's down that road.
Yeah.
And there will be cars lined up from their gate all the way out to that main road.
Yeah,
Get in.
Well, $60 a year is always
Not bad, right?
It's only 20 trash tags.
yeah,
Yes, and it's one every 2 weeks, less than one every 2 weeks.
yeah.
It's.
Yep, we're paying that. Anyway,
I'm probably
Yeah.
paid more than that.
Oh, yeah, through our trash tag, we're definitely, most of but anyway, the annual stickers are in that last category that funds the trash through general property taxes. So many of them, no, there's no charge, they just bring it over. Some of them where we have to have a sticker just to make sure that they're a resident, but we don't charge for the sticker. But so that there's a sticker on their car, so when they bring their trash into the transfer station, they're a resident and it shows.
I think with Lisbon, I believe they're a founding member of MWAC.
They may be, yeah.
So that's probably why they can get away with that, because their disposal fees are a lot less than.
And maybe, yeah. But Lisbon did say it does not cover their entire program.
Well,
I think the other important thing
it's impressive.
with everything that we were talking about is that every single town we talk to, including the towns that do nothing for trash, have recycling programs. Every single town, and they don't charge, the residents do not pay for it other than if they have a price that they have to pay for the sticker, like Lisbon or like, so that was interesting.
One other thing that West Gardner, Wendy, that you looked at, no assistance program, and sometimes transfer station employees will pick up.
Yeah.
Residents.
That's the only one I found.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I asked all of mine, and I know it was part of the thing that, do you do anything? Wes Gardner said that sometimes if their transfer station people are free, they'll pick up for elderly. Otherwise, as far as anyone said, it's more like, I've got an elderly neighbor, so I'm gonna bring their stuff over, kind of stuff. So, and nobody had a financial subsidy program. And I know our talks on financial subsidy, I don't know, Paul, were you able to talk to the board member on the food pantry?
I got a point of contact from the person I know. I haven't called that individual yet, though.
Okay. So I know we have taken subsidy reference out of our ordinance documents, but are still, at this point, it's if someone wants to donate a ticket, but then how do you distribute? And it's still up in the air for us. Any other thoughts on that? And then we should probably talk next steps on, now that we've got this information, which, by the way, you guys, thank you so much for all you did on gathering the stuff. I think it's, even if we don't use this a lot, it really shows that we did due diligence and when we're talking to the select board. I mean, the fact that we got input from 28 towns, I think it's pretty good. The other question I want to ask you guys is whether or not, I know Eco Maine, Catherine Oaks from Eco Maine shared some stuff. Are you guys, I mean, I know it will be out on our website, so it'll be public information, but what do you guys think about just sending her a copy of this? I mean, she was helpful to us.
Will this be public?
Yeah, I'm gonna fix the couple of
And I don't think it hurts.
typos that are on it and then get it to Brian so he can put it up on our.
I don't think it hurts us at all to send that to her
Okay.
if she's interested.
Take your time. It'll be Saturday before I can put it up.
Oh, that's fine.
So
That's fine.
And it's all public knowledge anyway, because they told us about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's just, no one's kind of pulling it together like this, so. So our next steps on this, because we're trying to move forward. So we put a bunch together. Next steps is really just, reinforce transfer station as a possible option, but, hopefully we've applied for it in enough time that by the time, if the route we want to go is like what everyone else does, and I'm not sure it is, but if we get that transfer station, it takes a year, it should be done by June 30th, because we applied for it before then. So by the time Plummer retires, we should have the transfer station license and we could change model. We'd have to figure out what a communication strategy is and all that. Are there any other? I mean, the other thing is we got some trash haulers in here that I wasn't aware of that we had. I'm sure like Central Maine Disposal, Kevin Smith, Triano, Waste Magnet as opposed to management. Another typo, but are those some haulers that we should reach out to say, here are options for if we want to keep the curbside model, here are the options to see if there's anyone. Do you know Kevin Smith?
yeah, he's one of our haulers.
But would he do curbside?
He has a lot of runs.
Okay,
So would he
That was a great dealer.
Yeah, he covers a lot of towns. And honestly, I think he's looking to retire. He's sold off some equipment recently and
Do you know him well enough that you could give a quick call and just say, is that the case?
yeah, I can call him.
Because I think if we're gonna line up for the select board, here are the options for when plumber retires. You know, we should. I was gonna volunteer, I can call Casella and see if I can go down and sit with them and talk about what their new model is and what would have to happen for that. I mean, I think we've all agreed that we believe and strongly believe they would be out of our price range.
Well, it'd be
They
nice,
were 10 years ago.
it'd be nice to have
Yeah,
some accurate info.
I am more than happy to call Casella if that works for you guys. Anybody, there was also Kelly Brothers, Main Squeeze, I
The
saw
other
that.
thing we're noting here is
Oh, you're breaking up.
sorry, can you guys hear me now?
Yes,
I was just saying the other thing where Casella chose not even to bid on the last RFP that we put out, so I think that's
Yeah.
an indication as well.
Right, and same with Kevin Smith, because he knew about it and he didn't.
yeah. Well, if we reach out to me, doesn't, the other one that had contacted you, and I don't know who it is,
David Brown.
is that one we should,
He's interested. He'll talk to us, when the time comes. He's friends with plumbers and he doesn't want to move in on.
oh, yeah, it's admirable, but I'm wondering if we should get a little information, because we're gonna do a side by side, and we don't, I mean. Can be a while, but if we're gonna do side by side with all the information, so we can say to the select board, here are the options. We should get that. Is that a,
Kelly Brothers used to pick up in Bodenham, they no longer do.
do you think they might,
We were on the outskirts of their. We were way out. And then they. Yeah, there's things, yeah. I mean, we can offer it to them, but again, they didn't. They didn't respond to the RFP.
yeah, I hate to put like all this, the calling on you, because if you're gonna call Kevin Smith, and Kevin may just say, not interested. And then David Brown, we should probably get a little more information from him. I mean, obviously, if plumber decides not to retire again, that's terrific.
I think you're gonna have a hard time getting accurate numbers.
Oh,
A
yeah,
year and a half out.
yeah, no, we wouldn't get accurate numbers, but you can talk to him about, here are the numbers that we have now. I think Casella, because they're so big and they've done this before, they probably have more information for us.
I was surprised. I saw Casella had a brand new rear load truck that went past my house the other day.
Huh,
Brand new, looked good. But it was a rear load and I thought they were getting out of that.
yeah, they're going the mechanized route,
Yeah.
yeah. On the transfer station idea, we'll want to, I think we've got figures on that right now, because we have figures on how many tons, and we know what Casella costs for taking, hauling our we've got tonnage figures from Casella.
Are you talking about people taking their trash to?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of all the options, because if one of the options is we get licensed at the transfer station, people bring their trash over to the transfer station. We know what the tonnage of our trash is right now. We know what Casella charges to haul tonnage right now. We can put that together. We can also put together, that would be much less expensive on the tag side. An awful lot, because the plumber charges what, $2.25 a tag. A bag to haul, so that all of a sudden people are doing on their own. So tags will come down tremendously if we go that route.
Right.
But would we get another compacting dumpster for the transfer station?
That I mean, you'd have to go that route. You'd have to get a compactor.
Yeah, we did have one of the towns that said it had a compactor.
You'll find that most of them do. Lisbon does, Topsom does. West Bath, or I mean, Hartsville does.
It only makes sense. Now, would the cost of that compactor be in the same range of what we picked up?
Same thing.
And so we had, I know you brought it in because you were able to find it for less, but the town had approved 40,000 for that.
20.
I thought the town approved the 40,000.
20.
Town only approved 20, okay. Is that a reasonable figure if we're putting things together side by side to say we recommend, getting compactor, so that's a capitalization of 20 grand?
Yeah, like, you can buy a brand new one for 30,000. We bought a refurbished for,
I know less than the,
13,500, and after the electric and everything was hooked up, we were about 16,000.
yeah. Okay. We're ahead of the game on this. Yay, couple of calls and stuff to make, but any thoughts on, other than we talked about next steps on trash models? I'll pull together.
Want to look at doing in-house curbside pickup. Todd,
Good thought.
it's a little scary when you hear this out about, well, we can't do it because people keep going on injury.
Like, I was following one of their trucks the other day, and there's two guys swinging off the back of it. I can't believe that OSHA is not involved in that. Right? That's just
Please, the trash men have always swung off the
right.
Ever since Beverly Hill Cops and
They were
that's.
smiling.
Yeah.
They're smiling and having a good time.
When I was a kid, there was I thought it looked like a great job.
So, Brian, is that one of the options we should?
Yeah, I mean, it's an option. And I would think we can
all the options later.
Yes, yeah.
think that since Casella's gonna have a bunch of trucks on the market soon, that we could probably pick one up.
Particularly if they have that new one that just went by your place, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet.
That was $250,000 going down the road.
Yikes. All right, so side by side, we'll have a couple of curbside options we can talk about. We'll talk about transfer station option and the costs of that, and then in-house option, including capitalization for trucks and stuff. And then Brian, we'll have to really put our heads together to think about what else, if we take it in-house. I mean, is that something that we want Jacinda and Cassie to do? That trash?
You need an additional employee.
Yes.
Yeah,
You're gonna need a Class A, Class B with air brakes driver.
and considering that most of the towns, and Boneham used to be a dump model. People would bring stuff to dumps. Now you can't do that anymore because the dump is a landfill and you're not allowed to do that. But it's not too far from, I used to go to the dump. Now you're just bringing your trash to the transfer station. I know we haven't done it in about 30 years, but so many of them do it.
Just depends if there's a strong sympathy for curbside.
So you'd probably have to change the model to do it over in the interior.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Instead of one day.
because we wouldn't want to buy two cups.
I mean, if you're gonna buy one,
Yeah. All right. We've got some time to pull that stuff together. Just wanted to see whether or not everyone was on board, thinking that that's probably the best way to do it. And then bringing those options before the select board.
So as far as the ordinance goes, Good talk with Nicole about the process and
I will
what
follow.
they gonna look at.
I'll follow up with Nicole on legal. I'll make a couple of little changes.
Yeah.
That we talked about, the transfer station, the, plastic bags. Are plastic containers, And then, so we'll take a look at making those little changes. Getting that set and getting that over to Leah. Was legal.
Maybe.
Anything else? Paul, anything from your way? Dennis?
Nope.
Terrific. Pat?
Next meeting.
Next meeting, next meeting is, oh, it says, what does it say? Next meeting is June, next meeting is June 19th is what it's supposed to be.
That's a holiday.
That's next week.
Yeah, I know. Well, we got meetings
I'll
mixed
be
up
out of
some.
town.
Yeah,
You're on the team. She's right now.
do we want to do the June 26th as our next meeting? And hopefully at that point, what we'll focus on that is legal input and presentation for the ordinance for the select board. So those two little things, that shouldn't take a lot of time. Like I said, Leah's already gone through most of it, and although we've made some changes since then, our changes have not been dramatic. So June 26th. And then hopefully that's legal. Hopefully she's available. I'll check. If she's not, I'll shoot a note.
Oh, the most public.
Well, I don't think she's interested anymore. So that'll just be legal and set date. Select board presentation. All right,
I make a motion to adjourn.
a second. All in favor?
A third.
Go. Drive safely, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you.
I view us as not having a lot of input as being very positive.
Yep.
We must be perfect.
I said, what is very perfect, practically perfect in every way? Mary Poppins. That's, oh, Brian, you said you won't get that up until like Saturday or something.